We are learning to divide by partial quotient, which involves analysis and evaluation of the dividend, but uses friendly numbers such as multiples of 10s, 20s, 30s, or even 100, 200 times the divisor. This method, which is taught by our textbook, Everyday Math, and approved by 5th grade teachers, allows students to divide accurately with fewer opportunities for mistakes. Sometimes 4th graders are still struggling with multiplication facts, and we want them to get to know those facts. But since they are sometimes struggling, these friendlier numbers can get them started with greater accuracy. To divide by partial quotient, we set up the problem, in this case 468 divided by 8, in the traditional way with the traditional bracket. So it starts off just the same, and that is just step 1. So let's go on to what we do next. Step 2 is to write a series of friendly multiples. Now this is a long list, and this is just the way we begin. By the time we're at the point that we are now, you would not need to hopefully write all of the multiples. And you see that we have analyzed the number, looking at these, and we have found one that is just right. And that's the 50 times 8 equals 400. So that's very close. That's going to take care of a large portion of our 468 that we're dividing. So the number is set up in the traditional way. We're going to add a vertical line to separate some of the work that we're doing. And we're going to use that multiple 50 times 8. You can write out the whole thing, 50 times 8 equals 400, or you can hold some of it in your mind and just write the 50, and you would write the 400 here. And then the next step, in step 4, you would subtract and bring down the 68. 468 minus 468. And that would be the end of steps 3 and 4. In step 5, we have to think about the 8-fact family. And since nothing times 8 equals 68, we have to think what would work with that and be the closest to 68. Of course, 8 times 8 equals 64. So that's going to work out nicely. And we put the 8 to the side and go ahead and subtract. Since we cannot make a group of 8 out of 4, that becomes our remainder. Go ahead and write that in the quotient right now so that you don't forget it. These steps take us through step 6 on the notes in the notebook. The next thing that we do to get the final answer is to actually add 50 plus 8. And this is our answer, and so we write it in the quotient at the top of the bracket. Now, to check if you've done the entire step, and let me show you that. We'll go to the next slide to show that. Here is how we will check a partial quotient problem. If you've written the entire multiple, 50 times 8 equals 400, 8 times 8 equals 64, add 400 plus 64. Now, you're still not golden. You don't have the dividend. You need to add in the remainder, and this will give you the dividend that you started with. If it doesn't, then you've made a mistake somewhere and need to review your figures.